Hey guys, Max here from Max Talks Cars. I'm here with Jared. Say hi, Jared.
Hi.
And we're here with his lovely Mercedes A-Class. And really the point of this channel and the point of this video is to give you an in-depth overview of how Jared's found his car from an owner's perspective. So we're going to take you through the exterior, we're going to take you through the interior, and then we're going to go for a short drive, and Jared can tell me all the things that he likes about it and all the things he doesn't. So let's get started.
Hi guys, just going to give you a quick walkthrough of my Mercedes A-Class A180. So this is the Sport Exec pack, and with that package specifically you get a few add-ons that you would normally get, for example, with the SE model. So yeah, just if we come down over to the side over here, you can see with this pack you actually get the LED headlights front and rear, so that's quite a nice addition.
Do you want to show them what it looks like?
So yeah, so just a quick glance. So if I unlock the car, that's for example your hazard lights, as in, you know, they're LED, so it obviously looks a lot more premium for that type of model, that type of spec. And obviously you can see these type of grills here on the front, you know, on both sides as well. That's also part of the Sport Exec pack, as well as obviously you can see the parking sensors here, but this is all around the car, just so front and rear, and actually on the sides as well, so you get full 360 sensors. So if we literally just come down here, we have the 10 spoke alloys here. I mean, for me personally, this is a love and hate relationship. I do like them sometimes and then I hate them. I mean, you have obviously got the next line up, which is the AMG line. Obviously you get the AMG alloys with these, which look a lot nicer, but you know, I think for the type of spec that it is, the 10 spoke ones look really, really nice.
Do you reckon it's worth the extra money getting the AMG line, Jared?
Yeah,
wheels?
I mean, so from my understanding, the AMG line, you don't get too much of a change. I mean, apart from the major kind of facelift that you get, and with all the extra trim that you would get with an AMG kind of line model, there's not much to it. So yeah, if we literally just come further down the car, obviously with this model you get the kind of the chrome kind of finishes around the window sills there, and then again, if we come towards the back of the car, you've got your rear sensors as well. And obviously you've got your badge and whatnot. But a really cool thing, and you'll see this later about the rear with the Sport Exec pack, is the reversing camera. Now, to the naked eye, you won't be able to see where that camera is, and this is kind of one of the A-Class's kind of pull factors. When in reverse, the actual reverse camera rotates, actually comes down from the underneath here, from over there, and then you can see where you're reversing, but there's no visible camera.
That's cool.
So that's a really...
We'll show you a picture of that and a video of that.
Yeah,
later on.
that's a really cool thing that I didn't even know until I bought it until a few days ago. So it's really, really cool that. If we come down the other side, obviously it looks exactly the same, but yeah.
You get these nice exhausts as well, it looks like.
Yeah, so you've got the chrome finishes around the whole car, obviously around the exhaust. Really, really nice kind of feature. That's actually another feature specifically for the Sport Exec pack and up. So it's a really, really nice touch there. And yeah, as a whole, I really, really like it. I think compared to, for example, the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 A-Class, this is a huge step up in terms of the Mark 3, in terms of design and model-wise. It's a lot bigger than what the A-Class used to, what the A-Class came from. But in my eyes, I think they've, you know, nailed it down to a T in the design department. But that's nothing compared to, for example, your A35 and your A45 lines, which is like the best of the best, which is like this car jacked up on quite a lot of substance. But you know, that's kind of the epitome of the car that an A-Class driver would like to drive. But I think,
and if you go ahead and subscribe, we will be getting hopefully an A45S on the channel very soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, we should be getting one of those on the channel. But
lovely. Well, let's go ahead and check out the interior, right?
Okay, cool, brilliant.
So we're here in the interior of the A-Class, and I must say, for someone who's got an Audi A1 like myself, you do feel like this is a pretty big step up, I would say, in terms of the quality that you get from here. So, Jared, why don't you talk about some things, because you obviously had a Vauxhall Astra before this, didn't you?
Yes, I had a very bad and an old Vauxhall Astra. Well, I say old, it was 2012, but for me, this is a huge step up from driving that class of a car. So it was a big shock to me in terms of how I feel like I'm enveloped in luxury and the Mercedes style. But yeah.
So what kind of luxury did you get from this? Talk us through that.
Okay, cool. So in terms of the general feel of the car, like sitting in it and driving it, it just feels really well built and very well made. Steering on this is really tight and really kind of loose, and it feels really nice to drive. So yeah, and then obviously you've got the dash with this model. being the A-Class, the kind of the mid-spec A-Class, you do still get a form of like plastic type of feel there, but it's got sort of leather on top as well. Here you get some sort of carbon inlay, and this is with the premium exec pack. I don't know why they call it carbon inlay, but it's just sort of like carbon. It's not real carbon fiber, it's like a fake carbon fiber look, just to kind of add that pizzazz to it, so to speak. Oh yeah, and another really great feature, I say great feature, I don't really use it to be honest, but another feature that you get with the sport exec pack is you get heated seats on either side, so that's also quite a nice addition there.
Oh yeah, like that.
Yeah,
I like that, Jared.
I don't use it, but it's nice to know that it's there, just in case I get cold. And then yeah, obviously you've got I think this is one of the staples really, the A-Class, but you get the Mercedes themselves call these vents like similar to kind of jet turbines. That was the kind of whole look that they went with this new type of like Gen 3 A-Class, and I think it looks absolutely lovely. I will say something that the Sport Exec pack doesn't come with, where the A35S and the A45S AMG does, is the interior mood lighting. And those that haven't seen that in these type of cars, it looks lovely. It's such a nice addition to the interior. Unfortunately, my car doesn't have that, but if you have that option in the future and you're looking for an A-Class, try and get that extra added on, because it honestly, it makes a huge difference to the interior kind of aspect of the whole car. And then I also think probably the main thing about the Sport Exec pack, which kind of did it for me, is the actual touchscreen center here. Obviously, your whole center console was both kind of one panel. You've got two screens in there.
Yes.
And it's obviously, it's a touchscreen. You can move it from side to side on there. This bit isn't. This console here isn't touchscreen, but your center one is. But with the Sport Exec pack, the main sell point for me was being able to have the 10.5-inch touchscreen, which is what you don't get with the lower spec or the SE. Yeah,
because normally you get just two of these screens, don't you?
Yeah,
you get just very small.
Yeah, you get, I'm guessing, two 5-inch screens. But it's quite an ugly thing with the lower spec models, because the screens have these horrible bezels that come out, whereas you can see on this piece of glass, it's all one solid bit of glass. But with the lower spec ones, there's like a horrible bezels around the screens, which look really kind of not very premium and just not very ugly. So I'm happy that this car had that option. So that was a main thing for me that made me get this car. And then obviously you have the center console here. You can control the touchscreen as well. This is the touchscreen here, so you can control it.
It's got the force feedback, doesn't it?
Yep, it does have. Another great thing about these new A-Classes is they do have a force feedback touch and control center.
All right, so we're here in the outside of the A-Class that Jared has so nicely reviewed for us. One review that a couple of reviews that we've seen have all said that it might be a bit cramped in the back. So we're going to demonstrate how much space you really do have in the back. So Jared, you're what, 5 foot?
I'm 5'7".
5'7".
5'7", proud.
Nothing wrong with that. And he's got his seat as if he was 5'7". So try and get in the back and see how much legroom you have.
Okay, cool. So I'm literally just going to go and get in the back, go and sit down, and that is me.
Oh yeah, a lot of legroom. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, lots of legroom. I've seen a few videos online of people saying that sitting in the back of these A-Classes can be a little bit daunting and you're not left with much space, but I'm a fairly average sized chap, and this is completely fine for me, so right. Yeah.
And I'm 6 foot, so come out, Gerald, and take the camera from me, and let's see how much space I have. So just take that. So yeah, just being 6 foot, got lots of headroom still, got lots of leg room. I feel like if I put my seat a bit further back, I'd still have enough, even if you're 6 foot, to really have the space back here. Very nice as well, very luxurious, very nice seats, and yeah, very comfy. So moving on to fuel economy, a lot of reviews that I watch on YouTube, much like this one, they talk about the car, but then when it comes to the actual numbers and figures, a lot of these people haven't driven the car for as long as someone like Jared has. So you've had the car for what, about 3 months or so now?
Yeah, around that, yeah.
And you've really got to grips with it. So you fill up a tank. Petrol's gone ridiculously expensive at the moment.
Yep.
How much do you pay for a tank? How long does it last you, and how many miles do you get on a tank?
Okay, cool. So filling up a tank, so this has got a 1.3 litre engine, so filling up a full tank is anything between 65 to 70 pounds. and that gets you about 320 miles on a full tank. That's if you're driving sensibly. But yeah, in terms of MPG, I'm probably getting about maybe 30-35 MPG, which is not ideal, but that is my drive style, and I like to drive. I like to enjoy my car, I'll say that.
So it's now time for us to go for a drive in the car, you know, just so you guys can get an experience of what it's like to be in the Mercedes A-Class. So yeah, let's get started.
Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to go and try and pull away here.
Now this is the manual model, isn't it, Jared? So
yeah.
How do you find the manual of the A-Class?
So, I mean, if you're looking to go for an A-Class, for Mercedes and specifically, you really want to kind of go for an automatic gearbox. I think Mercedes at this point are known for their automatic gearboxes. I chose this manual just because it was, you know, I wanted to sweep it up and take it before someone else could. So that's kind of why I took this car. But if you've got the option, try and go for an automatic gearbox, because it does make, you know, obviously it's a lot easier to kind of to live with. So yeah, and just another thing that I'm going to bring out as well, I think also for me driving this car as well, it's only got a 1.3 litre engine, but I'll tell you what, it does sound like it's a lot bigger than that. It just sounds really nice. There's a really nice purr towards the engine. I put my foot down, it does sound really nice, and
it's got a bit of pull as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely has a bit of a pull. I mean, if you can, for example, if I'm on motorways and stuff like this, and if you have the option to go for maybe the 1.5 litre model or a 2 litre model even, I would definitely choose that option. I think the 1.3 can be a little bit gutless at times, but another thing I would also say, this is a personal preference for me, and it's from what I've heard as well. Obviously the petrol models are a lot quicker, they have a lot more power rather than the diesel ones. I've heard that the diesel A-classes actually don't have a lot of guts, and you put your foot down and just nothing will happen. So that was another reason as to why I led to petrol, ignoring the fact that it's all going up and it's all getting very expensive. But yeah, so just a few things to look out for when you're looking at getting an A-class. But going back to just the sound and the overall feel of the vehicle, I just think I can't fault it. I just think it looks and just feels so nice to drive.
I mean, right now, I mean, most people when they're filming videos will have some sort of tripod or gimbal to stabilize the video. But I thought for this drive, just use my hand so you could see how steady the car actually is. And as you can see, I mean, over the bumps, it's a bit bumpy, but we're driving at a good speed now. Even in a manual car, there's only a little bit of bumpiness, which is great. But how's the steering? I hear the steering in Mercedes is very soft, very light. And, you know, it's very easy to drive. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, to be fair, one of the things I picked up on when I first started driving this was the fact that steering it and driving it, and it's just so easy to live with and drive. The steering is really light as well, you know, so it's just such a pleasure to use and drive. And yeah, it really is. It's just such a lovely vehicle to drive. And you really do feel like, I think anyone really could drive it. You don't need to have any form of, you know, deep car experience. I think anyone could really get into this car, and away you go. You're on your way. So yeah.
Do you find it's easy to use the buttons, the touchscreen, everything while you're driving?
Yes and no. I think that using the buttons and stuff like on the steering wheel can be a little bit dim-witted at times. Like for example, on my steering wheel here, you have kind of two little square, well, touch screens, touch pads, and the left one does the left-hand screen and the right one does your center screen where you get all your dials and stuff on. I think sometimes that can be a little bit annoying, but I think after, you know, I got used to it after a few days, so I'm sure that the average person can get used to it fairly quickly as well.
Nice.
So I bought the car with £5,000 down, and I've got this car for about £230 a month over a 4-year PCP deal.
It's pretty crazy for the amount of car that you get, really, isn't it?
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, there are a few ifs and buts, but honestly, for me, paying that type of money, you get a lot more. You get a lot of car for your money, and the way that it drives and what it gives back in return, obviously, I think is really worth your while. And this is only what, 2.5 years old. It had done at the time of when I bought it about 25,000 miles. So it's it really wasn't that bad. I mean, there were other options when I before I bought this. There was, for example, another A-Class, same spec as this, but had actually quite a weird one. It had a different screen, so it had the thick bezels that I was talking about, but that had only done about 13,000 miles, so significantly less than what I bought this car for. But yeah, it's just, if you're looking for an A-Class around and you want the new model, it's best to kind of look around and make sure that you've got your spec in mind when obviously you're looking, and don't go for kind of a lower spec. So yeah.
Nice, thanks, Jared.
Right,
so
right.
Just finishing off, Jared, is there anything that you don't like about the interior of the A-Class that we're in right now?
I mean, not really. I mean, there's a few things I'm going to bring up, but they're really kind of nitpicky. But yeah, so first things first, I think, so the side panels here on the door, really kind of cheap feel to it. I know obviously this is a fairly mid-spec, you know, it's an A180, but I think for the whole Mercedes type of vibe and the vibe that you're going for, I think, you know, maybe it could have been a little bit more solid or better quality kind of material used. And then the only thing else that I would probably bring up is sometimes the touchscreen here, and actually using the touchscreen over here as well, so the haptic touchscreen down there on the center console and the main touchscreen here, there can be a little bit of a delay at times, but it's not that much of an issue if you're stationary. But if you're trying to adjust something on the fly and you're driving along, it can be a bit of an issue, can be a little bit annoying. But that's about it. I don't really have anything other, you know, any issues with this car. I'm still really happy, and you know, I still pinch myself every time I sit inside this car and think, wow, this is what I drive.
Good job, Mercedes. So just to recap, £5,000 down, almost £230 a month for a car that does 300 to 350 miles on the tank. A fantastic luxury, and yeah, something that you'll probably have for many years to come.
Hopefully, yeah.
Fab.